Well, I was right. I did say in a previous video that I thought Kang was the one who was in control of the TVA and the sacred timeline. And it turned out to be Kang. Well, a version of Kang that's being referred to as He Who Remains, which is interesting, and I'll tell you why. But first, a quick summary of the episode. The episode starts off with the Lokis going to the Citadel at the end of time. So pretty much right where they left off. And finally, we're going to get to see who's in charge of the TVA, who's the one who's been controlling the entire timeline. Before we get to find out, however, Miss Minutes shows up and tries to bribe the Lokis. She offers Loki a timeline where basically he destroys the Avengers in New York, he completely wrecks Thanos, he gets the gauntlet, and he gets the throne of Asgard, and pretty much whatever he wants. And honestly, if this was not that long ago, I would say that he would totally be like, yes, I want that deal. But I think he's grown. He fell in love. Aww. With himself, basically. Loki then tells Miss Minutes to fuck off. I mean, he says, we write our own destiny now. And right before Miss Minutes heads off, she says,
oh, sure you do. Good luck with that.
Meanwhile, it shows Ravonna in her office, and she has like a brief moment of, damn, I'm a shitty friend, just a really crappy friend. Then Miss Minutes arrives and gives her some new updated files that she didn't ask for, but Miss Minutes says he thinks these will be much more useful to you. Back at the Citadel with the Lokis, we finally get to see who's behind door number 1. Or I guess, elevator number 1. And yes, it's Kang, right? Hallelujah. Well, not quite. I mean, it is technically Kang, but not the one we might have been expecting. Instead, this version is referred to as He Who Remains, and seems to be millions of years old, because he literally says he's lived millions of lifetimes. Leading me to believe that this is actually Immortus, the oldest and final version of Kang. There's even a quote by Kang the Conqueror about Immortus, which has a line in it that goes, he prunes away the chronal branches deemed by others to be dangerous, reducing reality to a bloodless meadow. And it seems like He Who Remains is pretty much doing that with the TVA. I mean, he's using them to prune any variant that causes a branch in the sacred timeline. I have to say, Jonathan Majors was awesome. I love the way he portrayed this version of Kang. Super over the top, super whimsical. It felt like he was a kid with a new toy, and those toys were Loki and Sylvie. That whimsical and also super calm demeanor that he has like the entire time makes him even more terrifying, especially knowing how powerful he is. Now going back to the TVA, Mobius confronts Ravonna, showing her the same pen that she seems to always be holding on to. When she tries to call one of her guards, he says that won't work since we know your secret now. A secret that Mobius and B-15 exploit to show their fellow TVA variants that their judge was once a normal human on Earth. And not even a judge, she was a principal. Mobius then tries to stop her from escaping, but he ends up on his back, and Ravonna gets away. Back at the Citadel, He Who Remains, or Kang, then explains that there was a variant of him long ago that discovered the multiverse. At the same time, he says many other variants from other timelines were also figuring this out. They built a way to travel through these timelines, and at first, everything was good. He describes it as very narcissistic, and it feels reminiscent of the Council of Reeds. Unfortunately, as we know, there were variants of Kang that were evil. They attempted to destroy each other's timelines, and it became a multiversal war. The same one Miss Minutes talks about in the first episode. One of the Kangs figured out how to destroy the others by using the power of Alioth, a trans-temporal entity existing across divergent timelines as an enormous cloud that destroys pretty much everything it touches. Once he was the only one left, he created the TVA to make sure no other timeline branches appeared, pretty much effectively making him a god of the sacred timeline. After hearing this, as well as what would happen if they kill He Who Remains, or Immortus, an infinite number of other Kangs will appear that are far worse than Immortus, or He Who Remains. This causes Loki to have a change of heart, believing Immortus, while Sylvie could give a flying rat's booty. Sylvie tries to kill Immortus. Loki tries to stop her. They fight. Then what had felt like the inevitable finally happens. They kiss. But technically they're kissing themselves, or different versions of themselves. Either way, it's a little weird. After the kiss, Sylvie pushes Loki through a time door back to the TVA, which makes me wonder if she only kissed him to trick him, or if she wanted to kiss him, but then used it as an advantage. It's a thinker. After getting Loki out of her way, she proceeds to kill Immortus, or He Who Remains, or Kang, or Nathaniel Reed. Whatever. He completely lets her, almost seems to want it. Which makes sense if he's lived a million lifetimes, and he did mention he is tired. I'd probably be pretty done too. After this, the timeline just starts branching like frickin' crazy, and back at the TVA, Loki tries to tell Mobius what happened, but shit has changed, ladies and gentlemen. Mobius doesn't know who Loki is. And instead of the statue of the 3 timekeepers, there appears to be a statue of Kang, and this time kind of looks more like the Conqueror version. Did you miss any of these details? When Loki and Sylvie enter the Citadel, you'll notice there are 4 timekeeper statues, but one of them is busted, completely destroyed. I wonder how that happened. And maybe that one was of Kang. At the very beginning of the episode, in the opening sequence, it shows a futuristic spaceship fly past the screen, but it is unrecognizable as any ship that has been seen in the MCU so far. Maybe it's a ship that will be used in the Eternals movie, or maybe in the new Thor: Love and Thunder. Who do you think it is? This one is more my personal theory, but I think Loki ended up in a new timeline. Whether Sylvie meant to put him in one or not, I think that he's not in the timeline that he originally was in, and that's why Mobius has no idea who he is. If you notice, which I'm sure you did, when Sylvie opened up the door to push Loki through, she used Immortus's advanced tempad. How did she figure out how to use it so quickly? Well, apparently Mobius and Ravonna are like thousands of years old. When Mobius confronts Ravonna, she says, "Eons of friendship," making them both thousands of years old. Loki Season 1 overall was fantastic, and the final episode, although leaving a good amount open-ended, was my favorite finale so far out of these new Marvel TV series. At least they let us know at the end that there's gonna be a second season. And with everything that happened in this final episode, it seems like they set themselves up pretty perfectly for the new upcoming Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It seems like thanks to Sylvie, there's gonna be a lot to deal with, and it looks like Doctor Strange is gonna be the first up to bat. If you wanna see me react to really dumb, stupid horror movie moments, watch that video next. If you'd rather see me react to the new Pixar trailer turning red than the video that is now over my face, watch that one. See you guys later.